thought I lost my mind until they played those clips back. I'm like, okay, there we go. There we go. We done seen you snap on this man time and again. Let's not. Okay? You are the queen of overreaction. Welcome to La Vida Rosa. I'm your host, Pinky, and today we're going to be talking about Married at First Sight. But before we begin, I would like for everyone to check out my website, lavidarosastyle.com, where you can find cute accessories like the ones I'm wearing right now, these Rubik's Cube earrings. And yes, they are actually working Rubik's Cube. So I have these and more cute accessories in the link in my description. Like, comment, and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get into this video. So y'all, at this point, we're 10 days away from decision day, and I'm at my wit's end. I ain't gonna lie, I have paid attention to this episode. I am just ready to get to decision day, even though I really believe that majority of these couples really do need to say no to one another. Let's just get there already, okay? Let's get to the reunion. Y'all done spoiled the show anyway. Like, I don't care what they said on decision day. We know the outcome, okay? Because they can't keep their mouth shut on social media. Y'all need to get on top of that for next season, okay? Where's the non-disclosure agreement? Y'all dropped the ball with that. Like, what's going on here? And then to me, the craziest part is now y'all want to bring in the experts at the very end when their marriages are already through. If you're going to have the experts come in back to back, it should be in the beginning. But like someone said in the comments, it definitely looks like they're trying to phase out the experts, or at least make them less available than they were in the past to boost up the drama. I mean, honestly, why else would you eliminate people who are supposed to be there to ensure the success of these couples? You don't want them to be successful because you want the drama and the ratings. Let's start with Jose and Rachel. This episode was the episode where they go see their childhood homes, and honestly, why don't we get to see everybody's childhood homes, or at least like a piece of their childhood, maybe FaceTime parents or something like that? Like, we only got to see certain people's backgrounds. Like, I don't believe we saw Rachel's. So Jose took her to his childhood home. He was just talking about how he didn't have much and they were poor, they weren't well off, and you know, his parents spent all the money on building this house, so they didn't really have money for much else. She asked Jose what they used to eat for dinner, and he said rice and beans, because rice and beans are cheap and you can get lots of rice and beans without having to spend a lot of money. And Rachel was kind of thrown off by him saying that, because she looks at rice and beans as like a part of her culture, not as something cheap to eat when you don't have money. I would have thought the same thing as Rachel. I really thought that was like a cultural thing, but I think they have different perspectives and different views on, you know, what they think is poor, because she said, well, his family owned their home, so you can't be that poor, you know what I'm saying? But I'm thinking Jose possibly was comparing himself to others, maybe kids he went to school with. So then later in the episode, Rachel has it on her heart to tell Jose what happened the night that he locked her out. If I'm locked out of my home at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm calling. I don't care who I'm calling. I need to call somebody to come get me now. Okay? That is dangerous for a woman to be locked outside of her home at 2 o'clock in the morning. Do you know how high trafficking rates are? There is someone lurking around any corner to come snatch up a woman, and there it goes, she missing. Do you know how many missing people there are out there, and you locked your wife out of her apartment? So yes, she called someone that she knew would answer and come pick her up, which was her ex. Okay, I'm not mad at her for keeping this from him, because if she had said this before she got him to apologize, he would have used this against her and used this as a reason to justify what he did. So I completely understand why she kept this to herself. I guess since they're back together, she wants to be completely honest, doesn't want to have secrets. I understand that too, so she told him. He seems uneasy about it, but he's not letting it be a deal breaker or whatever. It's like, you really don't have no room to be upset. You locked your wife out of her house in the middle of the night, okay? My grandmother said you deserve jail time for what you did. Okay? This is a very serious matter. So I do not blame her for calling on someone that she knew would pick up at 2 o'clock in the morning. And thank God that he did, because who knows what could have happened to her. See, this is why I don't think she needs to be with him, because every time I think about what he did, if he's capable of that, think he was capable of that knowing that y'all are filming a reality show. Imagine what he'll do to you when the cameras are gone. At least you had proof of what he did, because you already know if they didn't have any proof of what he did, he would sit up there and lie and lie and lie, because that's what he tried to do, but he couldn't, because there was too much proof against him. Anyway, I'm spending way too much time on this. Let me stop. I'm ranting. Okay, let's move on to Brett and Ryan. Child, they really didn't have much going on this episode. They wrote the letters to their childhood selves. I'm done with that. It didn't mean much, because at the end of this episode, Brett dropped a bomb on Ryan, and I'm so glad she caught him off guard. Apparently, Ryan joined a dating app, but apparently he literally joined it after they read those letters to one another, and they supposedly was being vulnerable with one another. Right after that, that's when he joined the app, because when she confronted him, he said that he had not been on that app but for 4 minutes. So why are you downloading an app on your way to her house to get to know her better, to get to know her childhood? I'm so glad she did not go through with that whole thing, because he does not deserve it. He does not care. Okay? And when she dropped that bomb on him and caught him off guard, he looked caught. Sitting up there looking stupid. He can't even say it with his chest. He can't even tell her the truth to her face. He has to be so weak to go behind her back and get on a dating app while simultaneously pretending like you're actually still in this. So she confronted him, and he claimed he didn't talk to anyone. He didn't think he was active, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, Ryan, it really doesn't matter if you were active or not. The fact that you downloaded an app, a dating app, while you are married is very disrespectful. It's deceitful, it's disrespectful, and it's really pitiful. It's really pitiful, okay? So I really hope that Ryan does not lose an ounce of sleep on Ryan. I really hope that she just brushes this whole thing off, because he is not worth it, okay? He ended up leaving because he got caught, and then he's gonna send her a text message apologizing or whatever he was saying. You could have said that to her face. This is your problem. You can't be straight up. I think people would respect you so much more if you would just be straight up and say everything to her face. But you just got to be weak and not address the situation in the moment, make excuses, and insult people's intelligence. Okay, so next let's talk about Gil and Myrla. So on this episode, oh my goodness, this part was so heartbreaking. We know the story of Gil and how his father's life was taken in a home invasion, but he actually took Myrla back to that apartment. And he said this is literally his first time ever going back to that apartment. And this whole situation happened when Gil was a kid. It sent chills up my spine to see this man come back here and talk about this. I don't even know how he was able to stand up. And then just to find out that he was the one that had to deal with that situation, meaning when his father was shot, he had to be the one to ride an ambulance. When it was known that his father didn't make it, he was the one that had to sit there and deal with that information. I don't know if he had family there with him, but just the fact that he had to deal with that at such an early age. And he said that basically it didn't even hit him until 2 weeks later that his father was gone. Oh my goodness. It kind of just shows that he went numb during that time. Y'all, I just bless Gil. He went through so much at an early age. I feel so bad. I literally shed tears watching that. So later on they meet with Dr. Pepper, and they discuss her being a Debbie Downer, negative Nancy. I feel like this conversation is so repetitive. Either she gonna stop doing it, or you just gonna have to put up with it. He's wrestling with the idea of being in love with Myrla. Myrla says she's already made the conscious decision to fall in love with him, so she's there already, but he doesn't want to say it without meaning it. He said in the past he said it without meaning it, and he doesn't want to make that mistake again. I respect the fact that he's not just out here just blurting it out without any regard for the importance of that word. And then they start discussing finances. Basically, they want enough money to be able to pay the mortgage, and she wants a nanny for when they have children, so they want to make sure they have enough money for that. Gil wants her to stop her frivolous spending on designer bags and things like that in order to save. He's like, well, just think about it like this: if you didn't make those big purchases, then we could save quicker and we can get to our goal faster. Obviously, we already know that Myrla is totally against this. She does not want to give up her shopping, and honestly, y'all, I get where he's coming from, but Myrla is the one that is coming into this already with savings. Her salary is the one that is going to be contributing the most to these things that they want to get. And I just feel like if the roles were reversed, if this was Gil talking about, I want to do what I want to do with my money, I'm the breadwinner, I'm the one with the savings, we really wouldn't even be having that much of a conversation about him changing the way he spends. Let's just be real. I don't think she should have to change those things. Like, yeah, it might take y'all a little longer to save, but it's her money that y'all are saving for the most part. Let's just be honest. The only thing that I didn't agree with Myrla on this part is that she brought up the fact that her ex didn't care how she spent her money. Girl, do not bring that up. Like, that is, we ain't talking about your ex. If I'm having a conversation with you and you start talking, well, my ex didn't care, this is about to head a totally different direction, okay? Do not bring up your ex to me. Is your ex in this relationship? Okay. Like, don't start throwing your ex in my face now. I don't play that. So moving on to Bao and Johnny. Johnny starts this off by saying he has daddy issues. When he looks back on it, he realizes that most of the memories that he has with his father are not good. It really sounds like his father truly terrorized his mom, and basically he chose the same route as his father. He just chose to do the same thing to Bao, because he said at one point he moved to California, and as a last ditch effort to get his mom back, he brought her and, you know, his siblings to California. He was looking at this house and saying, look, I want to live here with y'all. I want to start over, da 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 da. But the mom put her foot down and said no. And that tells me that this man was not worth being with, to put it lightly. And Johnny said that his dad lives a very lonely life because of it. And I'm just like, Johnny, don't you see that you're going down the same path? It's kind of like he touched on it. He's starting to see that resemblance between his parents' marriage and how he is, but he's not fully grasping it. And I hope he sees it when he watches the show back. You are doing what your father did. If your dad treated your mom the way you treated Bao, I completely understand why she didn't want to be with him. I completely understand why you don't have the best memories with your father. You can't treat somebody like that and expect to have a happy, positive family environment. And I don't want to make it seem like I'm coming down so hard on Johnny, because I don't want to minimize his pain, because I can relate and sympathize to my father not being there. Because, you know, Johnny said after a while his dad was just gone and he didn't have that male figure in his life. I can relate. You know what I'm saying? I have daddy issues as well. Like, there was so many times in my childhood where I cried myself to sleep because my father was not in my life. So I understand that. I just don't think that that is an excuse for your behavior. It's just not. So many of us didn't grow up with our father, and we have to work and we have to heal and we have to, you know, accept certain things, and we have to, like, I'm still working through a lot of those things. I realized a lot of my behavior, like towards men in general, was a defense mechanism that I built up because I didn't have my father, right? we have to work on those things. You have anger issues and you take it out on your partner. At least this is what you did with Bao, right? You have to work through that. So with that being said, let me get into Bao. I mean, her childhood was very shameful for her. She was embarrassed of a lot of things that happened in her childhood, and you know, she really didn't even want to share with Johnny some of those things because it's very vulnerable for her. This is not something she talks about with people often. She took him back to the lot where she used to live. Obviously the trailer is gone that she used to live in, but you know, she said that was the first time she ever went back there. Now earlier in the season, Bao mentioned how her father was an alcoholic and a gambler and how it was a great source of embarrassment for her family. But on this episode, she also revealed that her father had PTSD from being in the war, and nobody knew how to deal. You know, he didn't get the proper treatment or help that he needed. And so I'm assuming he was coping with gambling and alcohol. She said that her parents' relationship was very, very toxic, right? But the thing that bothered me about that is she still puts her parents' relationship on a pedestal because I guess they have a great relationship now. And you know, basically in her mind, it was like they had to go through all that toxic trauma to get to where they are now. That's the reason why she was willing to take so much from Johnny, because she sees where her parents are now. She's like, if I have to go through that to get to where my parents are, then I'll do it. But it's like, Val, you do not have to do that. You really don't. You really shouldn't think that being in a toxic relationship is worth it ever. Johnny was bothering me during this part too, because he hugged Bao, but he just really didn't give her too many words of encouragement. And just the look on his face, he just couldn't hide the disgust on his face. It was just like, ugh, he's the worst. So later when they met with Dr. Pepper, here we go with another dropping of the bomb. Johnny dropped a bomb on Bao in this session. He said that he spoke with her best friend, Sarah. He told her friend like how bad their marriage was going. Mind you, this is supposed to be Bao's best friend, okay? He's talking to her about their marriage going south. It's not going well. Just, you know, I'm sure he was trashing her because we've seen him do that multiple times. And so her friend in response decided to basically bash Bao as well and say this is how she is in relationships. She loves to tear men down so she can build them back up into something that she wants. And, you know, basically she's just this terrible person, just completely like betraying Bao. Like her husband and her best friend, child, they trash. Not only did he do this, but he literally caught her off guard. You could tell Bao was completely shocked. I mean, that he is just so slick and slimy and sinister. He does things to really hurt Bao. It's like, how many knives can you throw in her back? Like, it's like, why do you want to see her in pain so bad? You really need help to figure out why you hate Bao like this. Why you are so bent on making her miserable. Why don't you just leave her if you don't like her? It's like he doesn't like her, but he wants her to feel it. He wants her to be just as miserable as he is. Like, ugh. Johnny claims that she's all about appearances, but really he's all about appearances. So he really just wants a good reason to leave her. He doesn't want to leave her and it be his fault. He's been grasping at straws, but now he has something I guess he thinks is tangible because it came from her best friend. But like Dr. Pepper said, she might have very well acted like that in the past, but that doesn't mean that she hasn't worked on herself to change and actually tried to be a good partner in this relationship. So obviously Bao feels betrayed by both her friend and her husband, and this broke her down into tears. Like, I felt so bad for Bao. She really don't deserve this. Like, nobody deserves this. So after they talked with Dr. Pepper, you know, he's like, well, I really hate dragging Sarah in this. And I'm just like, well, if Sarah really said that to you, she put herself in it. Because there's no way on earth, if my best friend's husband came and tried to talk to me to get some clarity on their wife, there is absolutely no way I would ever tear my friend down like that. I don't even care if she was in the wrong. I'm never gonna sit there and tear down my friend. Like, Bow, that is not your friend. I hope you cut her off immediately. Okay? I don't care if you cut her off without a moment's notice, without a word. Cut her off. If you want to snap on her, you could do that too. But just make sure you cut her off, because that is not your friend. Don't tell her one more ounce of your business. So let's move on to Zach and Michaela. Get on my nerves. They get on my nerves. Somebody in the comments said that Zach and Michaela are like that high school couple that fight at lunch and are together by like 5th period. So they meet with Dr. Pepper, okay? They haven't spoken since that whole ordeal, for good reason, okay? Zach had every reason to leave. First of all, I'm wondering, does Dr. Pepper actually know what happened at that cabin? Like, in this episode, she said that they get summaries of what happened, but they don't get like all the details. So I'm wondering, does she really know what went down that night? Because I feel like she would have handled this situation a little bit differently. I really do, because Michaela was able to say whatever she wanted to say, and it didn't make any sense. Michaela walked into this meeting and was bold-faced lying. Like straight up. Just straight up lying. Like, I'm like, what? Am I in the Twilight Zone? Michaela, you literally demanded for him to leave and then tried to play the victim like he's playing upon your abandonment issues. Like, she loves to use her abandonment trigger as a weapon against him anytime they have any sort of altercation. Mind you, he will dip. You know what I'm saying? He does do that. But I feel like she uses it as a weapon. I really do. She said he has no evidence of her reacting to him in a bad way. Oh, yes, he does. We've seen many clips of you reacting to him in a bad... Michaela put in an award-winning gaslighting performance during this meeting. I was sitting there with my jaw on the ground. I had to rewind it and watch it again. I could not, like, she was looking dead serious too. I thought I lost my mind until they played those clips back. I'm like, okay, there we go. We done seen you snap on this man time and again. Let's not, okay? You are the queen of overreaction. So at this point, Zach gets up and leaves. And I really cannot blame him for that. Like, I would not sit up there and let this woman just gaslight me, lie on me, because I know they was going to try to flip it on him at some point. I am so proud of him for getting up and leaving, because I feel like this was the moment for you to do that. Okay? I feel like there are so many times in this season where you should have just left this whole situation as a whole. But yeah, if there was any time to leave, it was right then and there. Once he left, she blames her wild outburst at the cabin on being a panic attack. I mean, Michaela, I don't know if you truly believe you had a panic attack. That was not a panic attack. I've had my fair share. I've never ripped up a house, a room. I've never done that. In fact, you feel like you might be having a heart attack or you're on the verge of losing your life or something like that. You, in your mind, you're really at a very fragile state. If anything, you're rendered powerless. You know what I'm saying? You're very vulnerable in that moment. Now, I'm not a psychologist or anything like that, so I'm not really trying to diagnose her. But when I Googled it, what it sounds like what you had was an anger attack or a rage attack. I've actually never heard of this until I Googled it. But it says sudden intense spells of anger that resemble panic attacks but lack the predominant effects of fear and anxiety associated with panic attacks. And then some of the characteristics of these attacks is, throwing things and, ripping up an entire cabin. So I think that's what that was, Michaela. I don't think that it was a panic attack. Now, have I wanted to tear up a house? Yes, but not while I was having a panic attack. Okay, she broke down over losing her father. I do believe that this is a source of pain for her. I do believe that Dr. Pepper told her that, you know, she is projecting and she needs to work on her self-control. I feel like if Dr. Pepper actually seen what has happened, I really do feel like she would have confronted Michaela with the truth, because that was ridiculous. I just could not believe how she played that entire meeting. So I would think that would be the end of their relationship. I would think they wouldn't speak again until decision day. But apparently Zach wants to have a closure meeting. See, this is where you contribute, Zach. Calling her to have a closure meeting. Why are you continuing to play into this? You talk about how she's toxic. You talk about how you can't deal with her behavior. You talk about how this is not something that you want. And I'm just like, why do you continue to play back into this? And is it soul ties? Like, what is it? Why do you keep running back? I don't understand that. That's why I said in my last review, I really don't think Zach knows what he wants. I don't think he knows who he is as a person. He can't put his foot down definitively. Even though he knows this is not a good situation, he's still playing with it. Why? They both look like little kids sitting in a principal's office. I feel like I'm a principal and I want to sit down and reprimand both of them. Excuse me. So anyway, she said her passion was misconstrued. And he says he will say yes on decision day if she wants him to. He playing just as much as she is. I'm sorry. Both of them. Both of y'all. Both of them. Playing. Both of them. That little handhold they was doing was pitiful. They take my blood pressure through the roof. I cannot with this show. Y'all let me know what y'all think down below. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? I would love to hear your opinion. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And I'll see you in my next one. Peace.